Welcome everybody back to my 32 fan series. First of all, Mike, thank you for accepting the invite and being willing to talk to me. So today we're talking all things Miami Dolphins. I have a rule that if you have more than 4 Texas players starting, I start calling you the Miami Longhorns. So then we'll see how that goes. I called the Denver Broncos the Denver Longhorns as of right now because of that. So welcome everybody to my 32 fan series. I love talking to one fan from all 32 NFL teams. And today we're talking to Mike. Before he gets started and introduces himself, I will put all of his information in the description. So you can find him very easily. So you can find his channel, subscribe to his channel, watch his content, all those good things, because that is what we're here for, to support each other. So if you want to just let us know anything you want us to tell, anything you want us to know about you, who you are, what you do, and how long you've been a Miami Dolphins fan.
Well, I've been a Miami Dolphins fan my whole life. Grew up, in the 80s with number 13, Dan Marino.
Love
And,
it.
I'm sure these days there's like Pat Mahomes fans all over the country, not
Yeah.
necessarily in the home area of the Chiefs. And same with me. I didn't live in South Florida. I wasn't from South Florida, but where I live, I'm not rooting for the Bills or Jets or the Giants. I root for number 13 because Dan was the man. So
Yeah.
I became a fan when I was a kid, stayed with the team ever since. The website stuff is interesting, the podcast website stuff. So like late teens, early 20s, I started to write and blog for another Miami Dolphins website, and it was fun and it grew. I got to meet Ricky Williams' mother. She actually
Fun.
wrote for the website because I reached out to her. She was super nice and all that good stuff. But then, as you get older, start heading off to college, life gets in the way, so you just stop. And then many years later, I go, you know what? My life's kind of calmed down. It's more settled. That was a lot of fun. So I started off my own thing just as like a side hobby, side hustle. And of course, that grew rapidly into a full-fledged business almost, to the fact in 2021, I actually was hired and wrote for the Miami Dolphins official website. Our podcast has won numerous awards. It's been nominated multiple times for a sports podcast awards, up against like big podcasts from like the Pat McAfee show, like up against them. Like, I don't know how we sort of fell into this, but okay, we'll take it, I guess. Never won, but that's okay because I'm up against some monsters. But yeah, so the podcast has grown, the website's grown, and it's almost pretty much a full-time job now for me at this point. But it's been a lot of fun. Wish the team would win a little more, probably be a little better for business, not going to lie. It's been a little rough here the past, 20 years. But overall, diehard fan of the team, love the team, follow the team, not going to leave my team. As some people, there's an old saying, you'll leave your wife, you'll leave your job, you'll leave your mistress, you'll never leave your sports team. No matter how bad this team gets, I'm never leaving them. I will be there till they put me in the ground.
Yeah, I respect that, honestly. And I feel like that's how we all are as fans. I'm like, this team might piss me off every single year, but that's okay. I'm back. When's the draft? When's free agency?
It's the abusive relationship I'm okay with.
The most abusive, absolutely. So the highs are the highs and the lows are the lows. Yeah. So I love that. So what is it like? Okay, before the draft, I felt like the Dolphins were having kind of a fire sale of sorts, getting draft capital, doing what they need to do, repositioning themselves. How are you feeling during that time before the draft? How are you feeling about the Dolphins?
I was actually eerily calm and somewhat happy because the people who were in the positions of power who led us to this mess that we are now in were finally gone. And they needed to be gone probably a year or two earlier, but it took our owner a little bit longer to get there. Took Troy Aikman stepping in and helping out to get us there. And I'm okay with that. I am okay literally starting from a blank slate. We are a glorified expansion team. We have $180 million of dead money. We are, look, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, you probably know this deep down inside. Most fans will admit it. The ones that don't, they know deep down inside, we're going to stink this year. We got a bunch of first and second year players. We got half our cap, literally half our cap, if not more, in dead money of guys who aren't even on the team anymore. And it's what was needed, though. This team had gotten so bloated with bad contracts and overpriced players, old players, guys who the team was pretty much, it was fast, they had speed, but it was short, small, and fast. And that's not a good combination because when we go up north in the cold and winter months, we get pushed around. When we play teams that were pretty good, we get pushed around. You can have some fast guys. Obviously, that's good, but you can't have a team of short, fast guys. And it was just bad decision after bad decision. Out with the GM, out with the head coach, out with some of the lead scouts and stuff who had been here for 20-something years through regime after regime. They literally opened the windows, let the stink out. Let everyone go. And they brought
this strategy.
a new regime with a new vision, a new mindset, a new approach. Will it work? I have no earthly idea. But you know what? What we did for 20-something years wasn't working. Let's give it a go and let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Okay. If you like this video, now is a perfect time to take a second and hit that like button and leave us a comment in the comment section below.
That's a good point. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like a lot more teams should do that. Just kind of say, this is not working. It hasn't worked now up to 10 years. Let's release all of this. Let's start all over. What do we need to do? Who wants who? Like, let's do that. Okay. So we have the restart. So the draft happens, the opportunity for you all to load up on talent, get the best talent. What is one word you would use to describe the draft?
Full. We had 13 picks. That's a full draft right there. We had the most picks out of any team in the league, and they needed every single one of them. They went into the draft with 11, and pretty much with a trade in round 1, where they went from pick 11 to pick 12, they picked up 2 more picks in round 5, and pretty much it was needed, honestly. I mean, this team is just gutted, and they've lost so many key players. They lost their entire secondary from last year. Every starter's gone, and that's not a bad thing either. Their pass rush, outside of one guy, it's all gone. They just needed a lot of help. So it's a full draft because every one of the guys they took has a golden opportunity, not just to make the team, but to actually play. And how many teams can say that? Most teams, they have like 6, 7 picks, maybe 8 or 9 if it's and out of those 8 or 9, maybe 5 or 6 make the team, and out of those, maybe 1 or 2 play in year 1. Not Miami. Yeah. If you want to play, look. If you can't play, there's something wrong with you. There's not much in front of you on the depth chart this year.
Right. Okay. So having said that, who was your favorite? I know you all had a lot of picks for this option. Who was if you want to give me 2, that's fine. Who were your favorite like day 2, day 3 picks that you feel like might end up being a steal based off where you got them?
Yeah, I think there's 2. In round 2, pick 43, Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. Not so much because he literally won every award a linebacker could win last year. Came in 5th in the Heisman voting as a linebacker, and is just high character guy, which is needed in Miami because they ran off, as I like to say, a lot of the knuckleheads. And they need some high character guys in there. Some guys who are going to be leaders, maybe not as rookies, but can be leaders in times. And he was the leader at Texas Tech. His wife flies Black Hawk military helicopters in the military. So he's a high character guy. He's on the field. He produces, and a guy who, not year 1, but maybe, year 3 or 4, you expect to be the leader of that side of the ball. I think Rodriguez, where they got him at pick 43, I was a little surprised he was still there. I didn't think he'd go round 1, but I thought he'd go between pick 33 and 43. He didn't. So I think that's a very good pick. And the other one in round 3, Chris Bell, the wide receiver from Louisville, he's coming off an ACL injury. Hurt his ACL late November. If he didn't tear his ACL in late November, he was going to go round 1, at worst, top of round 2. So he might miss half the year. He might miss most of the year. There's no rush. We're going to stink this year. It doesn't matter. But you essentially get a first-round talent at the end of round 3. And because, look, if he's going to Philly, if he's going to a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl, they're going to need him on the field right away. We don't. So he can take his time as long as it takes to rehab. And we essentially got a first-round talent at the end of round 3. And he can just take his time to get healthy. And when he comes back, we will have a spot for him. There's just no rush.
We'll be here.
We'll be here. We ain't going nowhere.
Whenever you're ready.
Take your time. Yeah.
Okay. Who's the one player that from this draft class that you think will make the biggest immediate impact?
It's got to be the first round pick at number 12, Caden Proctor.
Okay.
He's only played left tackle. They're going to start him, they said, year 1 at left guard. I think ultimately he will end up as the starting right tackle because the right tackle they have now, I'll just say the quiet part out loud. They actually hate him because he's way overpriced and he's always hurt. But when you have $180 million of dead money, you literally can't cut everybody. So they're keeping him for 1 more year. Then he'll be gone. And so I think they took him for a long-term vision if he's your right tackle of the future. But right away at left guard. You put him next to Patrick Paul, who's turned into a very nice left tackle. You put him next to Aaron Brewer at center, who's probably the second or third best center in the league. You sort of sandwich him in between those two. The left side of that offensive line is going to be awesome. And then you've got, and then behind him at running back, you have Achane, who's probably one of the best 5 or 6 running backs in the league. And now you bring in Malik Willis, who outside of Lamar Jackson, probably the best scrambling quarterback in the league. They're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the ball left a lot behind those 3 guys. And I think that's where you're going to see the biggest impact right away.
Okay. Is there a player that you all kept passing on, like as the draft started to go on, that you were kind of like, get him? Okay, this is when we're going to get him. Okay, why are we not getting him? Like, was there a player for you that you felt like you were kind of watching throughout the draft that you think will come back and haunt you for not getting?
I'm going to give you 2. The first one's a quick one. We were at pick 11, and we could have took either Caleb Downs out of Ohio State or Ruben Bain from Miami, who was coached by Jason Taylor, played for the Miami Dolphins. And even when they traded to 12, they still could have took Ruben Bain. And I know there's a lot of the locals in South Florida who also root for the Hurricanes. They still haven't gotten over this. That's one where if Proctor doesn't live up to the hype, everyone's going to talk about Proctor over Bain for many years. But someone we passed on multiple rounds. I'm trying to think about the multiple rounds. I don't know. There's a couple wide receivers like Malachi Fields or maybe a Ted Hurst where, they took 3 wide receivers overall. They took 2 in round 3, 1 in round 5. If they would have took one of those guys a little bit earlier, maybe they probably would have been the best wide receiver in our class. So I would say one of those wide receivers, and there's a few of them. I'd probably go to one of them.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about this team a little bit. Now, I know that you aren't expecting much of them. You're probably expecting them to show up and to see some improvement as the season goes on is probably what I think you're expecting. But what would success look like for you? What does improvement look like for you? What would that be? Like at the end of the season, what would you say? You know what? Okay, I at least see a couple of things. I saw a couple of flashes, like we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it's kind of really simple because they're going into the season per the Las Vegas odds maker, tied with Arizona with the lowest win total expected at 4.5. So if you want to bet the Dolphins to win 5, take the over. You might actually make a lot of money this year because no one's expecting them to win even 5. So I think a successful season's this. Look, we all know it's a first-time head coach. It's a quarterback who's only got 6 starts ever. It's a roster. It's going to be loaded with first and second-year players. Put up a fight each week. Don't get blown out. If they're losing 27-20, that's cool. I can live with it. Knowing our roster most weeks compared to the opponent will be lackluster. Don't get blown out each week. They can't be losing 35-3. That's a bad sign for everyone involved if it's that. That's number 1. Number 2, don't lose them all. You got to win at least 1 or 2. You can't be an over. You got to win a couple. Got to win a couple.
We need some wins.
You got to get at least a couple. I'm not saying you got to win 10, but 3. Let's start there. And they got to put up a fight. And also, with all these picks they had last year, and they had a big class last year, draft class as well, even though the people in charge didn't take those players, those first and second year players, you want to see them develop over the course of the season even more. At the end of this year, you're hoping your foundation are guys like Proctor, like Chop Robinson, who was taken a couple of years ago, like Grant, who was taken at round 1 last year, picked 13 overall. He didn't play that great last year. He's got to play better. Guys like that, your young core, Rodriguez, who I mentioned, Chris Johnson, who took a round 1 this year as well. They had 2 first. Like if those guys over the course of the season develop and like, oh, okay, it was a rough year, but the future looks bright because these 5 or 6 guys are the cornerstone of where we're going to turn the corner. And that's going to be the foundation as we add on top of them and build up this roster. The young guys have to develop. Not all of them, obviously, but there's got to be 6 or 7 core guys. They're like, oh, okay, we got some guys who aren't going nowhere. That's our foundation. So don't get blown out each week. Win a couple and hope a few of these young guys turn into foundational pieces.
Yeah. Chop Robinson, Jacob Rodriguez, Trey Moore combination could be fun. It could be fun if it works out. Okay, that's good. So which position group worries you the most at this point? Like you might say
there's 2 in particular. No, there are 2 in particular. Like heading into the draft, I said outside of running back, because we're like actually loaded at running back. Outside of running back, we need everything. Like But they drafted 3 wide receivers. They drafted 2 tight ends. They drafted 2 offensive line. But you're not going to fill, even with 13 picks, you're not going to fill every need. The 2 areas that are weak are pass rusher is still a little soft. Chubb, because they had Chubb. He's gone because he was a little older. So and he's making a ton of money. Chubb's gone. Last year in November, they traded Jalen Phillips. He's gone. Chop Robinson's there. Now, last year was year 2 for him. Wasn't very good. But he's the best we got right now. There ain't much around him. So that pass rush room is a little thin. I think they might add like a veteran guy for like a 1-year vet minimum deal still in the summer, but they haven't done it yet. And the secondary, they took Chris Johnson in round 1. They took Michael Taft from Texas in round 5, but they lost all 4 starters, and there was like almost nothing there. So the secondary and edge rusher are still a little thin. But I will say with this draft, they did a nice job of sort of filling up the rest of the roster, so where it at least should be somewhat competitive. But there's still 2 glaring holes on that roster.
Okay. That's fair. Where's this team improved the most from last season? Is there a position or somewhere where you're thinking, you know what, that does immediately make us better? We have gotten better at this one position.
Yeah, I'll give you 2. One's the offensive line. Okay. Austin Jackson, God willing, this guy gets hurt so much. If he can stay healthy, and with Proctor, that offensive line is not a weakness, it's a strength. Patrick Paul's turned into a very good left tackle. Aaron Brewer's one of the best centers in the league. You put in Proctor's a first-round pick number 12. He shouldn't stink. He's good. Austin Jackson, when he's healthy, can play. He's just never healthy. So 4 of the 5 starters there should be very good. So that is one area where it's improved, but it kind of hinges on Austin Jackson's health. And that's a biggie. The other area where it's improved is linebacker. Jordan Brooks led the NFL last year in tackles. They had Tyrell Dodson, who's a pretty good player, I would say. And then you go out there, you draft Rodriguez, Trey Moore, and Kyle Lewis out of Pittsburgh as well, who's sneaky good. Those 3 linebackers add to what we had already. The linebacker room has upgraded significantly, and I think the offensive line has upgraded to a point where, again, not a weakness, more of a strength.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now take this question with a grain of salt, where do you think this team is going to be better than most teams in the NFL?
Running the ball.
Okay.
Because as I said, with that offensive line, you got a scrambling quarterback who can make plays with his legs in Malik Willis, and with Achane, who is who was outstanding last year.
Is.
Not only did he ran for over 1,000 yards, he also caught like 70, 75 passes out of the backfield. Yeah. He was sensational. This team is going to be a ground and pound team where they're still a little thin. They have a lot of wide receivers. I don't know if they have any top end wide receivers. So they got guys, but they're going to try to run the ball. Because what happens when you run the ball? That defense that has a bad secondary and bad pass rush, they're on the sideline. You got to worry about
that. They're tired. They're tired.
The ball.
Yeah.
Keep the clock moving. And I think that's going to be their bread and butter and what they're going to do better than most teams.
Yep, you're right. See, I was setting it up like, oh gosh, I don't know what he's going to say, but you're right. I keep forgetting about the Malik Willis addition as far as what that means for the team. Like, obviously I know he's there, but I keep forgetting that his ability to be dynamic is going to help them tremendously. Who is, I think is it Ollie Gordon? Is Ollie Gordon the backup?
Ollie Gordon and Jalen Wright. Jalen Wright from Tennessee and Ollie Gordon from Oklahoma State. They got running backs. I mean, they got 3 very good running backs, and then they picked up as an undrafted free agent out of Texas A&M, Le'Veon Moss, who's pretty good at Texas A&M.
Okay.
So look, it's going to be tough for him to make the roster, but he could make the practice squad or something possibly. Mm-hmm. So running back is really an area where it's a huge strength for them. And again, with Willis, like, here's the thing: they're going to be able to hopefully run the ball with success. The problem is if you're losing, and he's got to throw the ball. He's got to take him 75 yards with 1.5 minutes left. Not saying he can't. It's just that's going to be tough because he might not have the weapons to throw to make that happen. And you can't run it that far, like in 1.5 minutes either. So that's where they're going to hurt a little. But I do think it's ground and pound, and they're going to lean on that running game big time with all those running backs. But I think Achane, who is he's about to get a big payday too here soon in a few weeks.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he deserves it all right, 100%. That's going to be the bread and butter.
Okay, perfect. Let's do a little bit of the fun round here. So you could either give me quick answers or you can give me an answer and explain, totally up to you. So the first question is your quarterback confidence on a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being no, get this guy out of here immediately, and 5 being he could stay here forever. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 3 because there's a big question mark here. It's a big unknown. He's only got 6 starts ever. His time with the Titans was rough, but again, he's a rookie coming from Liberty. It's not like he was playing against the top 10. He's at Liberty, and they kind of threw him out there to the Wolves, and which is unfair almost with any rookie, but especially one coming from a small school. He went to the Packers though, and in limited times, damn, he looked good. But here's the deal: he ain't got the Packers receiver. He ain't got the Packers around him anymore. He's in Miami. But I do think there's something there. Here's the deal with Willis. He got paid. He didn't get paid so much money where it's like crazy amount. But we all know what's going on here in Miami in that if they're bad this year and they got a top 3 or 5 pick next year, there's a lot of quarterbacks in next year's draft. You got Dante Moore from Oregon. You got Archman. You got Lenora Sellers. You got the kid from Ohio State. You got the kid from Notre Dame. These are all guys who expected to go in round 1 at some point. So if Miami wins 3 or 4 games, like many people expect, Willis better play awesome, even if they lose, for them not to take a quarterback. And even if he does play awesome, they're probably still going to take a quarterback. Absolutely. So his time in Miami might only be a couple years, but I think he's got a golden opportunity. And if he does play well, and if he surprises and they win 6-7 games, guess what? They won't take a quarterback. They'll take something else. And he might have this job for a while. So, but right now I'm going to say a 3 because he's had such limited playing time. Yeah. It's tough to say.
Yeah, you're just not sure. You're just not sure, which is fair. Coaching staff trust level on a scale of 1 to 5.
Once again, kind of like with Willis, we don't know. It's a first time head coach in the NFL. He was a head coach in college at BC. Trying to win at Boston College is like impossible. Who was so all these schools, they got the uniforms from like Nike or Under Armour or Adidas. At Boston College, you know who their uniform sponsor is?
Who is it? Who is it?
Oh, Asics, I think, or some. No, New Balance. It's New Balance. I mean, look, New Balance is for like 65-year-old men who go mall walking. Okay, New Balance was the uniform sponsor of Boston College, and let's be honest, New Balance ain't got money, and Nike and Under Armour and Adidas that Oregon and all these big schools got. So here's the deal though. He was a head coach there for 4 years. 3 to 4 years they were. They could have went to a bowl, I think 1 year because of the pandemic, there was no bowl game. But okay, you get the point. They won enough games to go to a bowl 3 or 4 years. Yeah. He kind of maxed out. Like, that's ain't going no better at Boston College than what he did. So he does have head coaching experience, but as a head coach on the NFL level, we don't know. So 1 to 5, kind of almost unfair. I'd probably say incomplete or just probably toss him in the middle of the 3. But I have high hopes after listening to Mike McDaniel. And anyone who thinks Mike McDaniel's some great offensive mind or he's so funny and cute, trust me, when you're on a 5-game losing streak, the last thing you want to hear is your head coach walk up to a podium and try jokes like it's open mic night. LA and the Chargers, have fun with Mike McDaniel. When he's blowing through all your timeouts in the first quarter because he can't get the play in, tell me how funny those jokes are then. I tell you one thing, you won't be laughing. And so compared to him, this guy's a breath of fresh air. He walks up to a podium, they ask him a question, he gives an answer. He doesn't, he's tossing a joke. You ask him a question, takes him 4.5 minutes to answer when it's a 30-second answer. Jeff Hafley just answers a question. It's not a big deal. And so from that aspect of it, this guy's already got an A+. But
yeah, he's a 5.
He's a 5 at that aspect. Couldn't be any lower, honestly. Mike McDaniel's walking in with the fancy watches, the fancy sneakers, leaves his hats on him. He was so hip and so cool. Again, that works when you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going 8-9, no one's laughing.
Yep, that's fair. That is very true also. So who do you think is going to carry this team, the offense or the defense? Who do you think is going to be better this year, the offense or the defense?
Offense. I think offense, again, running game, offensive line is going to carry this team. Wide receivers are still a work in progress. But I think, again, running quarterback, 3 running backs, investing in the offensive line like they did. I think that is going to be what carries the team. Defense is just, they need it so much. And I think, again, there's just no pass rush. And the secondary is really young players like Chris Johnson, who they took it with their second pick in round 1, which is great, but he's the best player in secondary, and he's a rookie who's coming from San Diego State. That's which is fine, but he's a rookie. He's gonna make rookie mistakes. Playing opposite him, the other corners, if I said their names, you probably wouldn't even recognize them. At safety, if I said their names, you wouldn't even recognize them. So it's just, that side is still a work in progress. That's going to take another offseason, one more draft to help fix. But I think the offense will carry them.
Okay. If you could trade drafts with any team, they get all of your picks, you get all the draft pick, you get all their picks. Maybe you don't want to trade, but who would you trade with if you could swap out a team?
I can't believe I'm going to say this. There's a team.
Are you going to say it in your division?
No, I ain't saying them because they are cursed. They are cursed like Danhausen cursed them. They are cursed. And if you don't know what that means, folks, you Google Danhausen, you'll figure it out real quick. I'm going to call it up. I would take the draft of the Cleveland Browns. Their picks. Listen to this. Round 1, Spencer Fano, Casey Concepcion. Round 2, they took another wide receiver in Denzel Boston. They took a safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Round 3, they took Austin Barber, an offensive lineman from Florida. 1, 2, 3, those 5 picks in rounds 1, 2, and 3, I think were sensational. Mm-hmm. I like our draft. Don't get me wrong. I love the Rodriguez pick. I love the Chris Bell pick. I like the Proctor pick. I don't love it. But I think what Cleveland did is pretty damn good. And no one ever gives them credit. They're the butt of every joke. I get it. And it's well-earned. It is well-earned. But for 1 year in a vacuum, if there's another team's draft I want, I would take theirs.
Yeah. For what it's worth, just to give you a little bit of backing here, I said I think they had one of the best drafts. So I'm with you. And I'm a Steelers.
They killed it.
And I'm a Steelers fan. So it kind of pains me to say that. But I agree with you. I definitely agree with you. And I always, every time I say that, they're like, yeah, but it's the Browns. And I'm like, multiple things can be true. They could have had a good draft and they could still be the Browns. Like,
they're still the Browns. Look, here's the deal. This kid from Texas Tech who got caught placing 10,000 bets on God knows what, who's now going to have to enter the supplemental draft, and I don't know where he's going to go. He's a good quarterback. If he came out this year, probably would have went in round 2. If he would be able to play this year, which he won't, probably would go in round 1 next year. I promise you, I would bet $100 he's going to end up in Cleveland when the supplemental draft is over, because why not? We got Shador, we got Watson, we got the kid from Oregon last year. What's one more? Throw him in there.
Taylor
I guarantee you they will submit a pick in around 2 or 3 and overpick this kid. And why not? You got Watson with all his issues, Sanders with all his issues. What's a gambler? Come on, throw him in. I guarantee you he's going to end up in Cleveland. Save this clip. Save this clip till June. When he ends up in Cleveland, replay it.
What's a gambler? That is actually awesome. That is, we have a person that likes massages. We have a gambler. We have we have an athletic guy because Taylor Green's hella athletic. So you can say whatever you want about him. He's athletic.
Because hold on. Now I'm calling it up. He placed, what was the number of, I think it was like 10,000. Now they were cheap bets, they said. They were like 10, 20. He placed over 10,000 wagers in 3 years. 10,000. That means every night this kid's on an app saying,
how many
Minnesota Twins are playing the Astros. Give me the Twins. Put $5 on it.
That's insane. 365 days a year times 3 is 1,000. So that's about 10 bets a day.
That's a ton. Look, I'm not Pete Rose. I mean, he's not Pete Rose, so I'm not saying he's that. But when you're placing over 10, even low money bets, first off, that's an issue because if you're not going to win big, who the hell cares? I mean, if you're going to bet $10 to win like 4, who cares? He cared, obviously. And here's the deal. He was probably going to have a big year. Texas Tech has turned themselves into a big program. They spent a ton of money in the portal. And he was going to go to that wide open offense, throw it all over the field. It probably had a big year, really help his help where he would get picked in 2027, maybe even win the Heisman, because this kid's a good player. And he kind of threw it all away. Threw it all away, but he's still going to get picked high because, again, he's not Pete Rose. We're talking cheap $10 bet, 20 low level stuff. But it's still an issue. And I could so see him in Cleveland. Oh my God, I could see him in Cleveland.
That's awesome. Well, I will promise you, if that happens, I guarantee you, I will clip this up just for you. And I will be like, well, we talked about this back in May. So I love it. Okay. If your team had this always happens to us moment, like everything's fine, we look good, this is great. And then you're like, of course, here it goes. We are the Miami Dolphins and this is who we are. What is that moment for you?
Not really a shock. When it snows, we can't win in the snow. So they're going to come out with a schedule here in like a week or so. I don't know what the exact date is. You look at the schedule and you'll be like, okay, not that it matters this year per se, because we're at low expectations heading into the year. But in years where there were expectations, like who we play the final 5 weeks of the year, at New England, at the Bills, loss, because they just don't win in the snow. Now, it hasn't always been that way. Obviously, in the 70s and 80s, they won in the snow. But in recent years, again, the mindset, you're short, small, and fast. When it comes to the cold weather, you're going to get pushed around. You got to, running game travels is the old line. It's true. And I think what they did with Proctor and some of these other guys that they drafted is try to change the vision, the mindset of we got to get bigger, we got to get stronger, we got to be the bullies. And so hopefully in time, this changes. But late in the year, if they got a road game in the snow, they're screwed.
Okay. So my final question is, if you could say anything to the team owner, the GM, the head coach, really anybody on the team, anybody that you pick, what would you say to them?
I love this question. First off, for the new GM, I'd say keep it up so far. You're off to a strong start. Don't listen to nobody. Just plow ahead. Your vision so far is great. The head coach, I'd say good luck. Don't take anything personal. This year is probably going to be a rough year. Get past this year. Year 2, you should have more success. The owner, a few things. This is a family show. I'd say this. You're 85, 86 years old, I think he is. It's okay to admit you don't know, because you've owned this team since 2007 or 8, whatever, 8, I think. And he's now he's brought in his 2 daughters and his son-in-law, and the son-in-law has, been in the sports world before with like soccer and other stuff. And like with this head coach hire and this stuff, like he leaned on them, which is a great sign, because clearly he didn't know what he was doing for 20 years. So I'd say, you know what, just let them run the show at this point, and you just sit back and watch the money come in. It's okay. You don't have to make the decisions. That's why I'm so happy with Troy Aikman involved, because the owner was listening to the wrong people. And I think with Troy in there, he'll be so awestruck. We got Troy Aikman. My name's goddamn Marino. Yeah. But Dan's around every day. You get used to Dan, okay? Dan's like the furniture. He's always there. You get Troy. Hey, I got a new shiny toy. I got Troy Aikman in my building every day. Hopefully Troy's got his ear and can be like, I don't know what you're thinking. That's stupid. Let's do this. Yeah. And that's what we need, is someone in his ear who has a clue.
Yeah.
So I'd say, listen to Troy. Listen to your son-in-law.
I love that. And you are so right. Sometimes you have to sit back and let other people do what they can do, and you just sit back and make the money. Sometimes you're the investor. Sometimes your job is to provide the money and then let people go out and double it for you and triple it for you. So that is
he makes money hand over fist. He's got the F1 racetrack around the stadium now, which I don't watch F1. I don't care about F1. I don't know the first bleeping thing about F1. Here's what I know about F1. He makes a ton of money off F1. You know what else he brought in there? In the parking lot, which is why if you go to a game in Miami, good luck trying to park. He put up tennis courts. Why? The Miami Open. Why? He makes more money off the Miami Open. This guy has built this stadium, renovated it with his own money, which is great. I like to see more of that. Don't make everyone pay for it in the state. But, the money's coming in. The only thing he can't do right is win football games.
Step away,
so, whatever you've been doing, and he got rid of everybody. He fired them all. Okay. Listen to Troy. Listen to your new GM. And just go sip on your little drinks every night. Have your oatmeal in the morning. Watch your MSNBC, whatever the hell you're watching. I don't know. CNBC. Watch the ticker. Watch your stock price go up, whatever. And just let them run the football team. Stay in the back. Sign the checks. because whatever he's done for 20 years has been an embarrassment.
It's a no. I love
it. It's a big no.
Well, thank you for joining me and being willing to chat with me. I appreciate it so much. And the other thing is, too, I know I said this at the beginning, I'll say it again at the end. All of your information will be in the description box so people can find you very easily. If you want, I will also give you the opportunity to add yourself as a collaborator. So we'll have that there. And then I'll end with you. Anything you want to say, anything you want to end with, we'll end with you. And since we're at, 35 minutes, you can say whatever it is you want to say.
Oh, thank you. First off, this was a lot of fun. This really was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this. Thank you for having me on. And for all fans of the Miami Dolphins out there who might be watching this, let me say this. This year might be rough. It's okay. We've been here before. But as sure as God made green apples, one day, might not be anytime soon, but one day, we're going to win the Super Bowl again.
Okay, thank you.